Deduction of TDS in respect of payment for insurance policy, and this is covered under section 194DA. Let's see what are the issues that we are going to cover as a part of deduction of TDS under this section. So the first question which we are going to cover here is, who are the payers who are liable to deduct TDS under section 194DA? Whether it's a non-resident, whether it's a resident. Secondly, who should be the recipient of payment? Is 194DA applicable if the payment is made to a resident? Is it applicable if the payment is made to a non-resident? Or is it applicable if payment is made to either of them? Second is, what will qualify as a payment for life insurance policy? Because unless a payment qualifies as payments towards life insurance policy, it will not be liable for deduction under this section. What is the minimum threshold below which TDS is not required to be deducted under this section? When is TDS required to be deducted? And what are the cases where an exemption may be available where there will be no deduction of TDS under this particular section? So let's go one by one and answer all these questions. The first question is, who are the parties involved in a transaction? Obviously, there are two people who could be there in a transaction. One is the person making the payment or the payer. The second one is the recipient, the person who is actually receiving money towards life insurance policy. Now, if the resident is a payer, then he is covered under section 194DA. What that means is that if a person who is in the nature of a resident makes any payment towards life insurance policy, he will be covered under section 194DA and therefore will be under an obligation to withhold taxes. The same is applicable in case of non-resident also. In other words, we can say that whether the person is a resident or it is a non-resident, if it is a payer who's covered under section 194DA, that is, he is making the payment which is covered under section 194DA, then he is under an obligation to withhold taxes. When we talk about the recipient, if it's a resident, it's covered under section 194DA, but if it is a non-resident, then he's covered under section 195. What this means is that instead of applying the rate given under section 194DA, the tax deduction has to happen under section 195, where the person who is receiving the payment, which is of the nature covered under section 194DA, is a non-resident. Let's first look at the section. Any person responsible for paying. Person here would cover both resident as well as non-resident. Any sum to a resident. The use of the word resident indicates that if the recipient is a non-resident, then he is not covered under this section. Under a life insurance policy, including the sum allocated by way of bonus on such policy. So in every policy, there could be two kinds of payment which could be made. I would not say every policy, but depending on the nature of policy. One could be a principal sum assured. The other one could be some bonus that he might be receiving under a policy. So if there is a person, whether a resident or a non-resident, who pays any sum under a policy, which could be the principal sum assured or the bonus, to a resident, other than the amount not includable in total income under section 10, subsection 10D. So if the payment is in the respect of a life insurance policy, but it is covered under section 10, subsection 10D, then it will not be liable for TDS under this section, shall at the time of payment of such sum deduct an amount equal to 1%. So what this means is the payment is the time when tax has to be deducted. If there is only a credit to the account of the recipient without actual payment, then TDS is not required to be deducted under this section. But at the time of payment, the TDS has to be deducted at the rate of 1%. So which payments are exempt from tax deduction under section 194 DA? If the individual payment which is made, which is covered of the nature under this section, but the individual payment does not exceed 1 lakh, or the total payment which are made during the financial year do not exceed 1 lakh, then there is no requirement to deduct TDS under section 194 DA. Second, if there is a person other than a company or a firm who furnishes a self-declaration in form number 15G or 15H that no tax is payable on their total income, then also they are exempt from tax deduction under section 194 DA. Now for form 15G and form 15H, we have prepared a separate segment as to what is the procedure, what all is applicable. Because it is covered under a lot of these sections, you can apply those rules individually or collectively to all of these sections. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked this video, you can subscribe to our channel to stay updated on more such videos. You can like this videos and also share it with your friends. And if you're looking for material on this particular subject, you can visit us on our website at www.arinjayacademy.com.